Welcome! In this episode of our Spanish Pyrenees adventure, we make our way further east to reach our goal of crossing the Pyrenees from the west. We climb up to some of the highest drivable peaks. Scary mountain roads, teeth-rattling gravel tracks, breathtaking views, and we run into some problems. Will we make it? Let's find out. We have just crossed the border from Spain into Andorra. We didn't waste any time to explore Andorra though, since we had a big task laying just right in front of us. Our mission for today is to climb the Pic Negre on the Andorran side, cross it and drive down on the other side back into Spain. At the next best spot in the shade, we stopped and let down our tires to attempt the climb. The ascent is 20.8 kilometers long. Over this distance, the elevation gain is 1,638 meters, which gives you an average gradient of roughly 8%, hitting 16% of maximum gradient through some of the steeper ramps like this one right here.
I'm spinning clay. I am the wheel that turns the day. I'm waking to the sound of games I've never known in a world of shame.
We gained more and more altitude, and the surrounding views got more and more spectacular as we passed the tree line. But just as I was climbing one of the steepest sections, we had to stop. My friend's Subaru Forester conked out at one of the steeper sections, unable to go further. But we were determined to conquer this mountain, so we left his car behind and soldiered on with my car. Next time, mate. Eventually, we made it to the peak at 2,643 meters. The views from this high up are just purely breathtaking.
I need you like 1,000 screams.
We were keen to explore some more. Now, in 20 degrees on top, compared to 35 in the valley, we were all relieved to spend some time in cooler conditions. Not far, overlooking the Andorran landscape, rests an abandoned VW T1 van. This vintage van stands as a remarkable sight during the ascent. Legend has it that this van holds the distinction of being the first van to conquer the peak in the 1970s, but never made it back since. We continued to drive over the ridgelines and were in awe of these spectacular scenes and the fact that one is allowed to drive up here. Let's keep it that way. Up ahead is probably the most difficult section on the peak. It consists of two fairly steep drop-offs with a pinch at the bottom that you have to navigate. No match for the mighty Hilux. From here on, we started the descent, but first, we had to collect our stranded car.
I need you like I need bad dreams. Beat the bars in the jailhouse. Me been so long. I've been free.
We drove some more Ks downhill over some teeth-rattling tracks and stumbled upon 2 more abandoned cars that were left here for some reason. Soon after, we found a camp still on the Pic Negre. But before I even could set up, I had to blow off the dust from today's mission. Very dusty tracks indeed. We had driven almost 30 kilometers over the mountain, which took us almost 6 hours, and we were not down just yet. We were buggered. The tracks had broken us, so we went straight to sleep. The next morning, we continued our descent. But something wasn't right.
Way done. Okay. Ich hatte auch gemeint, ich hatte etwas hören, aber ich war mir nicht sicher, weil ich ein Auto halt nicht kenne.
Also normalerweise ist
Okay.
Now, we were still quite far from the next bigger road. Having a problem here is far from ideal. We stopped to check underneath the car.
Ernst?
Stitch up! The night beforehand, I had tied cable ties to the drive shaft,
Gotcha.
which explains the rattling noises he described.
Wieso ist ihm der so? Die Mali überhaupt nicht. Spaß.
That's what friends are for, hey? After Sven has calmed his nerves, we continued on our relentless drive. At this point, we had been on the road for 9 days, and tiredness started to creep in. That was close. To reach our destination today, we had to drive a longer stint. Late in the afternoon, we drove a trek through the shady hills of the Col du Parpaillon. We were looking for an old plane wreck hidden in these harsh, steep hills. When we did find the wreck, we almost couldn't believe our own eyes. This is a Douglas DC-6B waterbombing aircraft that was used to combat wildfires in the area. In the summer of 1986, 4 men lost their lives fighting the raging fires. This place has an eeriness about it. The views up here are very beautiful, but the ghosts of this plane are still here. Can you believe that this plane has been telling a story of hardship and catastrophe for almost the past 40 years? Soon, we made camp in the hills and glanced into the horizon and its sunset. For the next 3 days, we stayed on the campground right next to the beautiful Lac de St.Croix in the Provence. We were exhausted from the past 10 days, being exposed to the relentless heat. So, we decided to rest for a few days to refill the batteries before we would attempt to climb one final peak. Even Juna got to enjoy a relaxing massage. We paddled into the stunning Gorge du Verdon. The turquoise water and colorful hills paint a picture that has to be seen. The camera doesn't do it justice. It is very picturesque. We thought we had left the Spanish heat behind us, but to our discomfort, the hottest day was still to come, which is why we spent most of the 3 days in the water. Juna seemed to approve of our plans. The final climb. I was a bit nervous to attempt this climb. It is a high alpine climb on a narrow, very rocky track that goes uphill for 20 kilometers. But my anxiety left as soon as we passed the tree line and were greeted by this open valley in the middle of nowhere.
Zij stonden al daar, dat hij. Wow.
Higher and higher we drove. This is unbelievable. We had to stop a few times to let past other cars going down. It can be a hairy process because there's very little room to stop.
Wow.
I got a call over the radio from Sven. We had to stop somewhere.
Dat is bij.
Dat is erbij. Het is gestiefd.
Ik heb plat, nee.
De Sven de platte naar me zin. Ja.
We almost made it home without any problem. Almost.
Dat is ungefähr nicht, hä?
Ja, das
Mal drüber.
so ganz genau geht das nicht.
So.
Normalerweise müsste man mit einem durchgehen. Genau. Ja.
Nee, dat gaat geen bloos, nee.
Tip top. That's it.
Juhu.
tire repairs on the mountainside.
Yay. On the how many meters?
I don't know, 400, yeah.
With the tire repaired, we continued the rest of the climb. Soon after, we made it to the top at 2,632 meters and took a moment to take in the views. This is called the Col du Parpaillon. The tunnel was built by the army in the 1900s. Stretching for 520 meters, it is pitch black inside. It is quite daunting going through, because you cannot see if there's a car already in, but as I reached the end, I got greeted by the most epic of views yet. We found a nice spot right next to the track where we would spend the night. And we were at an all-time high. How good! This is the finish line of our epic adventure through the Pyrenees, and it couldn't have been any better. From coast to desert, from lakes to valleys, from ruins to mountains. Spain has exceeded our expectations, and I can't wait to explore more. As ever, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this mini-series. I'll see you in the next one.